What more can I say? When you're restricted on one platform, just move to the next, right? I'm gonna go to my theme song. It's in my notes. Gonna get there first. It's amazing. Don't take you right there. It used to be right there on the top of the line, but there it is right there.
City on, my city on fire. My city on fire. I'm sorry I fight ya. I'm just trying to be better. Too cold for a sweater. Now there's no forever. We on search for better. We on search for better. We on search for better. My city on fire. I'm sorry I fight ya. I'm just trying to be better. Too cold for a sweater. There's no forever. We on search for better. We on search for better. For better. I think they mad that I said something. Ugly nigga for ransom. But my brother's alright. I'm trying to be a provider. Where I'm from is alright. Safer than keep silent.
So the truth is, well, what is the truth? I don't know. I should be talking into the speaker, but it's not working. Say what I want to say anyway. And so therefore, okay. But when you realize what side of the fence you're living on, you just may. Sorry, I don't understand. Mhm. Look, somebody don't understand. Who said I was talking to it? Mm.
Damn nice, you know. They didn't have no
Excuse me. So, it's the dreams of the children that make a difference. And, I'll say that I've always been working in my community. As for real work, I consider it real work because I was effective as an individual. I was able to guide Yellowstone. ED department can't cancel dozens of school mental health grants. The judge rules. So, the judge said the mental health grants, they didn't figure out where the money was. is so real. That is, life is so real. Very consequential when people choose not to engage, or it's very difficult to be in the room with a lot of African American people, Black American people, or perhaps they're immigrants, or you don't really know who. Good morning, good morning. But more than that, it's your stand your ground rules. have to go to another song because it's just frustrating when you really start thinking about it. So frustrating. Go back to the notes. And then you have to go back to, what is that? We're very sorry. Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to do that. I am going to do something else. I was in my notes, and then I was going to go here and go here. This one. Certainly, it is a conversation that we just don't have. What do y'all think about the music? It's good music. Gonna play another song and go out back to my notes option. And here we go. Maybe even two more. So let me just say, welcome to America, because this is almost the end of October of 2025. So it's October. Then what? November, December, September, October, November, December. There's only 2 more months of the year. Well, what you gonna do? Because this is 2025, and living copy it. Just so I can copy it and share it again. Copy and then done. And oh, hello, Nevada. Below you'll find a delicious recommendation for Poli in Las Vegas. Now the weather is getting cooler. Although, let's be honest, eat Poli, even though it's 102 degrees. I don't know what Poli is, whatever that is. Hmm I have no idea. hmm Traditional Mexican stews. The chicken or chicken stew is what it is. And Lombardo says he's not our champion. Joe Lombardo's ugly record of blocking women's health care. All right. And as a new mom, I guess somebody can feel that shit. But hey, it's real. If he ain't for you, what can I say? Yep, I just have to do this for myself because, you know, when it really comes down to it, it's just you. It's only you that can change the direction in which you're going. But if you didn't understand that the work looks like you, it's just your work. And that's just good morning, good morning. I am just sitting out here enjoying the weather as it is 59 degrees here in Las Vegas. Let me look. It says Casino. I gotta read that one. Station Casinos reveals expansion plans for Southwest Las Vegas property. Okay, I don't know what that is. And hey, and somebody wants to do something for and remembers for Charlie Kirk. I guess that's just kind of like, it would be kind of like, Dr. King. No, not necessarily because I don't believe it. That's just real. Henderson's house fire leaves one dead. That's what the officials say. And what else? What happened there? A teen arrested for DUI and crashed a truck into the house. Can you imagine that? That is just real. I mean, the news is not necessarily the news, but it is the news. It's not necessarily the news, but it is the news. And that's just real. And so, I was going to do a live stream over there on Facebook. However, they don't let you click the button. I'm saying, motherfuckers, you don't even understand. I know what the fuck I'm doing. And so when the device doesn't work and then, I can document it didn't work. And just click a picture of it and say, it's a broken. It's a broken. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because America is just truly broken. But my children all got high school diplomas. And what does that look like? Well, we're just going to go to another song because you people are annoying because it's just, there may be listeners, but I'll never know who's in the room because people get to do what they get to do. And, my app doesn't share well because why doesn't it share well? I know. Oh, I don't know what that is. I gotta share it in a certain way because if you share it in a certain way, well, guess what? People get to see it, and and it makes a difference because choice is everything. If you had a choice of colors, which one would you choose, my brother? If there was no day or night, which would you prefer to be right? How long have you hated your white teacher, but who told you to love the black preacher and to respect your mother's women friend and to share with black folks, not of kin? Because people must prove to the people a better day is coming for you and for me. With just a little bit more education and love for our nation, I believe we'll have a better society. Now, some of us would just rather fuss and want to cuss and make a fuss than to bring about a little trust. If we only believe one day, or if we choose to listen to what I have to say. So, how long have you, ask yourself, how long have we listened to what we're listening to as we have accepted the failure of a nation to provide adequate access and equal support to all children? Because, the starting line is real. When that's Kamala Harris, said that all 3 year olds would be enrolled in an education program. And I do mean an early education program. But what happened to your state? Where did your state fare? And who are the citizens living in your local community that are having a conversation in regards to what? In regards to the Local Control and the Local Control Accountability Act. Because you see, it is we, the people. We are all included. And I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired of my people saying, girl, get out of here with that shit. I don't do no damn politics. And I'm saying, did you not know you paying taxes? And taxes say that someone has to question the ability of the local people to have those basic conversations. They're just basic conversations as to what's happening and who done did what. Because it is, hey Lou, yeah, it is all about who is who's fooling who. Failure is just not an option in America. So what is it then? I'm saying, oh, I thought you knew, because it is what it is. And well, who knew? In America, you just got to be you, because only you can be you. And what can I say? In a nation where we're all free to choose what we do, why would you let your child receive the letter grade of F and then get promoted to the next venue when social emotional learning is a key? And I said, oh, I was wondering how, and I didn't know these are social norms. And so that social emotional learning, somebody put it in a packet and was promoting it. And I was going to take some snapshots of it. I don't know if I did. Let me see what I did. Because if I did, I could have put it in here. And I was curious as to, how they're having this here in Nevada. And that is learning to advocate for yourself and others. That's probably going to be good. I'm probably going to pay my little $30 to become a future member. Yep. And then choose to participate, because lifetime learning is all about what life is all about, and it is with people. But when you choose to what? Choosing to engage is really a choice. So many people choose not to engage in anything, and then they don't even want to have a conversation about adequate access or equal access. Or what does that look like? Because I'm so confused. What is that? Oh, I don't think that's anything. I was listening. What you have to do is to pay attention to these workshops that they have, because they're telling you how they think. And I'm saying, how they think makes a difference. But, when you go to little people making their little workshops and they're talking about how the nervous system works and how the flight or flight may work. And, you know, you just got to know. You got to start to learn who we are as individuals and how your children respond to certain behaviors. Because if you don't, you're the only one that doesn't know. It's kind of like I was the only one that didn't know that I had rheumatoid arthritis. Because I'm recalling now, when I moved here, I had a referral to go to a rheumatologist. So why would they give me that referral if they hadn't diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis? And I'm saying, oh no, my doctor's telling me now it's in my blood. Well, how come they didn't correct the state when the state gave me a disability rating that's so low? Oh, enough, enough, enough. I'm going to call Los Rios Community College, tell them I've been misdiagnosed and I want to know what I can do about that. That's just real. Year after year after year of dealing with this chronic fatigue syndrome. Yes, right, whatever. I'm still loving myself. That's right, because that's what you got to do. And, these apps are supposed to work the way they're supposed to work. And if they ain't working the way they're supposed to work, what can I say? What should I say? Only you can be you. And when you choose to be you, act upon it and make sure what? That you're doing what you need to do as an individual to be who you are. And that's just real. Oh, okay, what is that? Lost and found Muslim session 8. What is the duty of a civilized person? To teach one who is savage civilization, righteousness, the knowledge of himself, science, and everything in life, love, peace, and whatever. What is that? Something happened up there for the Nevada, something. I not that. I don't want that one. I don't want to do that. I want to just go back there and see what that said. Mm-hmm. Black Friday. No, no, no. Oh, oh my goodness, there. That's they killed people. Oh, I'm so this is not online when he's on the way. They didn't get me kicked out because that's not my song. Anyways, I was just streaming and he just happened to cross the stage, and I'm saying, okay. But, I'm blessed to know who I am at the age of 67 and understanding that self advocacy is everything. And if you're not going to advocate for what you have a right to do, then nobody else will. So, hey, that's what I do out here. I teach people to understand that they need to look at their gifts. hmm Because the universe blessed you with a gift, and your gift is different from my gift. I promise you that. But it is up to you to do the right thing. And what is the right thing? I don't know. Everybody has to do what they gotta do, and they just gotta do what they gotta do, and they gotta do what they gotta do. If they're choosing not to do what they're gonna do, that is not my problem. However, most likely it is going to be yours. Now, this woman, I see her all the time, and she has some kind of treatment thing for T. Scott Consulting, running treatment for behavioral health. And I want to tell you that behavioral health thing, and just like, people are putting money towards children in the spectrum and children with autism, and I'm saying, how is it that you're doing all that? I'm just confused. And I'm saying, oh, I got to get to the point where I can close it up here. There we go. And because behavioral health is everything. And so, did you see that Clark County School District is offering behavioral health services, mental health services to all students? And I'm saying, maybe so. How they do that is deal with the campus directly to deal with the violence on the campus. But the individual stuff, oh bullshit, no, no, that's misuse of funds, and it really is because all those kids can participate in school-wide programs, but what they can't do is draw individual services off of money that was never directed to them. And I'm saying that's what they're gonna wake up and find out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. As I say, pimping ain't easy, but hey, hey, hey. If you're going to be allowed to do it, what can I say? Life is what it is until it's not. And it just is what it is. I'm going to go back to my songs list, go back to my notes. Here we go. My nephew, Kevon Hardin Slade. Hello, hello, hello. That was my nephew. And I'm going to play one more song. But the whole thing is that here we are, living in America. We're going to do a little bit of business. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. One more song. Okay. Everything's all open here. Oh, that was another one. Oh, that one. No, play that one. Okay. Oh, shoot. Oh, what happened? It's already off. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What can you do? Okay. Whatever. Oh, I know there's something here. You have to go in here. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
If the child says, I need some help with this,
Mm-hmm.
somebody, in your doggone tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just another kid can help with this.
Well, I mean, and that's how it was for my son.
And if there's no,
That's how it was. When my son needed additional help, I had to fight so other children could share their notes with him so that he could be included in the conversation because
well,
we
of
have a regulatory
course,
process
but
in
I
school.
mean, there was a whole lot of fighting done there, and there's a whole lot that you learn from that fight.
It is.
But why not? Let's start look at it from the, and you can't fight with the NAACP,
I'm not
who
trying
are, and
to,
I just
but
figure they're part of the Gestapo. That's just how I feel.
well,
I
I
understand that
it's
everybody
an
else feels.
organization that has an intended purpose, but understanding that the intended purpose has been confiscated right now. And it is more into what the glam shot of America is about entertainment and entertaining, and it's really not about the mission of the NAACP and what they used to stand for. You have to build
Well, I can't even talk about today's
but
NAACP. I mean, I'm not trying to generalize the whole organization across the world,
I
but
have to generalize from what I've
talk
seen
about
here, though. And knowing that the national came in to do a training here and only one other person showed up. It was myself and then the chair. She didn't invite nobody else. It was all about her. And that they've had so many. If you go to the NAACP's website here and you look at the page, you
it.
think that they were functional. You wouldn't think that they have a 259% suspension expulsion rate. And then you could go look at the schools and go to the board meetings online. You don't have to go physically anywhere. Everything that you really want to know about what's happening is online. So, that's the change in the narrative. The narrative changed, and we have access to information that we didn't have before. But
And that means what to somebody
that
who
means,
is interested in it?
well, that means that, the conversation that we have to have amongst ourselves is totally going to be empowering by empowering others to know the journey that we've been on and looking at this whole thing as, what do you want to say it? It's different when you're really talking about the issues and the problems in the community and how things may change and what we need to look at and the outcomes of measuring the maintenance of effort where the money is going to, because that's where we should be. We should be able to have a conversation about what's working over here and what's not working over here. And it doesn't have to be a white or black thing, but what it has to be is what's benefiting all children. And we as Americans can't focus on the separation, but we really have to understand that the separation needs to bring attention to the journey of blacks in America. So it's not about,
Well, I mean, no matter how you look at it, you
mm-hmm,
know, oppression requires constant consistency.
mm-hmm,
Oppression requires that.
mm-hmm,
It's no way to get around it. So every time you ask for something or every time you reach at something, they just move it farther away. But self-reliance is a critical component of life.
mm-hmm.
And you cannot become, you're not self-reliant if you can't access what makes you self-reliant. It's just
Right.
not there. If there are no libraries, if they put the Smithsonian in your community and the
You don't
children just
go.
continually walk by, well, they see it. I mean, they just walk by. They don't have a library card. They used to give them out in the school,
Mm-hmm.
but if they don't have a library card, they have no use for the library. I mean, we're talking about something that shifted in the late 70s when crack and cocaine, and I mean, we don't even grow that here. I'm like, how did it get here? So,
Well, Stephanie, they were talking
the
about it this morning
neighborhoods, you know?
on C-SPAN about the number of opiates, the opiate trade
Well, they
money,
are,
and then
and
how
and
much.
we're pursuing them right along. I mean, and then where do they start to peddle that poison? In the low-income neighborhoods, because who are the greatest consumers in America?
Drugs?
Black people.
Yeah,
We buy anything and everything. We buy everything but a house. They'll sell us everything. We can
well,
live,
even when they sell us the houses, they figure out how to get the money back.
live in the projects
Mm-hmm.
and drive a doggone Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
New.
New, yeah.
We got TV screens that are 70 inches across or whatever, big as a wall,
Mm-hmm.
but we got no books. Our books, we may have 3 books in the house, and they full of
Not
text.
even the books.
We
Even
got
if
to
the
change
books.
us too. We definitely got to change us because our children are not just, hey, I'm talking. You better shut up. Our children are not engaged with. Parent involvement
Let me ask you this question.
home. You
Why
got
should
to be
our
involved with
children,
your child.
but why should our children be engaged in the most oppressive system that has been established?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, and I understand the finance of education very well. Pick a day. Pick a day. Organize around the day. Keep them home one day. One day.
Yeah, but you have, I mean, it's going to require the whole community to.
Well, it's going to, the only thing it really requires is a significant number of the community. And the significant number of people are really in those, what I call them black holes, where you've got nothing. Well, the scene hasn't changed in 50 years. The same store been there, the same corner store been, the same gas station been. It might have changed colors, but just start there. Start there. If but when you have, and don't publicize it. Just go from ear to ear. On this day, do not send your child to school.
Well, it's going to take some organization. It's going to take some organizing. It's going to be a lot of work that has to be done. How do we communicate? When
you have the attention of the system, because see, you got to keep them out at least 3 days before they can come talking about compulsory education, and we're going to lock the parent up. 3 to 7 days.
They just cut us off again.
Just one day.
We got to go back live on video. This is funny. Every time you really start hitting about how to organize, then they cut it off. And that's
we don't care. We do not care.
We understand what's going on. We really
that needs to be the focus. And actually, there is no organization that will spearhead that, because the NAACP don't want to offend the people and the bank people that give them some money, in the Urban League, they get money from the banks and independent contractors and all of that, but they don't want to offend anybody. Yeah, but a grassroots effort is to just ear to ear, ear to ear. And that's how I campaigned for the school board. I had to go to the housing projects. And I mean, they didn't even want to let us have a meeting in the room in the housing project. Now they didn't want to, So, we had to go over to the little park area. I sat on top of a picnic table and we had a conversation. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. That's what it is. It's not, you don't need to publicize it in the news, but I tell you what, it will make the news that evening. There were no black children in school today. There was less than 5% of black children in school today. Where were they? That cost.
It really is.
That cost is a serious impact.
Well, and then Maxine, they're talking about truancy is such an issue. Truancy is.
They go the next day. No, they're not truant. They were just absent one day. No conversation. I'm going to write a note and tell you that he wasn't feeling good or she wasn't feeling good. And then you know what? Wait a while. Do it again. Someone will be willing to have a conversation.
That's why we have to have the conversation. We're having the conversation so we can enable and empower other people to have the conversation.
If you want someone to pay attention to what you have to say, sometimes you have to grab them by the short hairs to get their attention. But I can tell you that they're not kicking children out of school that are necessarily being disruptive or whatever at an early age just for the sake of it. Is the preponderance of dollars is in sending them all through the system and out into the world unprepared. When they're over in the youth authority camp, they're getting paid that ADA. Still, they're still.
Yes, they are. And you know what? When I went to the mentoring they had here in Nevada uh, a look at the mentoring, whatever. It was a state meeting. It was at Nevada. It was at the Department of Education for Nevada. And then they had black men that were on the dais, but they didn't have any ability to talk about the connection between the state level and the school level. I mean, there's a whole piece that's missing in there, and that level of current engagement comes through the local board.
Why in the world would you even?
Well, I wanted to talk to those black men because they were in a position of power.
Well, they don't want to talk to you.
No.
Because you know what? I mean, if they didn't see the importance of education, and then their parents were just so glad to have them be with somebody that you had no questions, no nothing. You know what, darling? You really need to leave that one alone and focus on the ones that you can change. And some of those children, when I say keep them home a day, some of those are the ones that'll be kept home a day. But the conversation is with those that are willing to hear it. And so, you're just going to have to, find you a couple of people that are willing and agreeing and touching and agreeing on a chord, because that's where you start. That's where you start. You say, look, you know what? Everybody is not going to come to school and volunteer. Everybody is not going to show up on back to school night. Everybody is not going to be at the parent teacher conference because they don't have the confidence. Two, they are disenfranchised from the educational system right now. So when you look at all of those children that you say are expelled and making up the expulsion rolls and whatever, those are going to be parents. There probably are some parents now, but those are going to be parents that raise the next crop to send in there. Somewhere, somehow, that dynamic is going to have to change.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for the shift.
They all got one of these, the cell phones, and so connectivity is not a problem. They all got cell phones, and they all can learn. They got online coursework. You can plug up your cell phone so the battery don't die and have at it. They expect everything else. But instead of talking about situations that are not going to change right now, that are not going to change even in the next 10 years, unless you use that 10 years to raise up awareness, to raise up individuals who will take a stand, that raise up individuals who will override the NAACP. Because if they got to have elections. Now that's it. So all you nominate somebody new. And that changes all of that. All of that changes. Because what they become is a little myopic group of 4 or 5 people, and they just stay that way. Those same people stay there, stay there, stay there. And if they do move over one, they put somebody else who's part of that same 5 people. Now you're the president. But
that's the issue.
If enough people begin to attend, pay their dues, let it be known. We're here. We're here. And sit quietly. Just sit quietly. If they ask you a question, answer it, just be quiet. But then there comes a time for elections. And they go try their best to make sure that very few people know when we're having elections, especially when
I think it's time for elections here, actually. And
when they have a big group of people done join, they try to make sure that very few people know. Don't want you to know now. Don't want you to know.
Because the ones that they bring in are the ones that they want to vote for them. And that's kind of like...
Look at what we did in Sacramento. We had the same people all the time.
They still do.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they're still there. But every time somebody tries to join, they have a moment, and we're not meeting right now. But no. Be at the meetings, attend the meetings. But you don't need to talk. You just need to be in the meeting, and just listen. Just listen. Don't want to fight with you because I'm not going to fight with you. But come election, you'll be sitting out here in the audience.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
that's what we have to change. And we are, Tony said, you act as if it's the fierce urgency of now, but it is. So we've
Oh,
already
it
done
is.
everything.
Yeah.
And anytime you can't help a student who's in the 12th grade, below grade level, and they only have 25 credits, and there's nothing you can do to support that child.
Well,
No,
why would that child even still be in school?
just one because the
You
parent
know?
has to. The parent, the laws of compulsory education mean that the parent will be punished if the child don't step up and go to school,
Well, you
even if
know
they're
what?
daily.
There should be some 2 or 3 people that do homeschooling, and that
And,
counts. That is
and
still
there
an
are
education.
And so that's why I said that there are, until we address the issue of
But what I'm asking
kids,
you is this child is in the 12th grade and got 25 credits. What are the odds of this child even graduating?
there are none. There are none. But
So
it's happening. It's rampant.
why can't, why wouldn't, at least some teachers, and everybody don't need to know everything, but a couple of teachers that will come together.
Okay. So she said, why would a child be in the 12th grade with 25 credits? And I'm saying the problem existed then, the problem exists now. We have 12th graders who cannot read at third grade level, and they're still enrolled in regular school. And what they're signing on to is that freaking certificate of completion. Because what is their certificate of completion? It's absolutely nothing, brings you nothing. But here we are, got all these black elected officials, and we're not having the conversation as are we there yet? And I'm saying, hell no, we're just not there. As failure has become an option, and we talk about the willful defiance and lack of compliance of the Negro children, and we look upon them as they are less than human. I'm saying, oh no, did you not know we are a people too? And as we are paying so much money in taxes, just understand those who came before us were willing to walk out the back door and come in the back door. I'm not willing to do either. And that's just real. So I do know who I am. And I'll wait for you to understand that it is only you that has to determine who and what you will do in the year of 2025.
And at least give this
And
child enough competency to get a GED.
vaccine, that's why I said that, Sac City is notorious for putting kids in certificate of completion programs and pushing them out the door unprepared because they didn't have enough credits or they weren't scoring, they were below grade level for the whole time. They're not trying to catch them up. They're just pushing them out the door. They're ensuring that their existence is maintained based on the failed services that they're offering. They don't have a good program. It's not good. And the only way you get good is to stand over them and force them to do the work. And that's just the bottom line. And we don't understand when we go in there and we
Well,
have
it's a little late
we go
when
to
the
jail.
child is already in the 12th grade and
But
they're
but it's the same thing for that woman that I'm supporting. Her ninth grader was the same way. Her 10th grader was the same way. And still, they've made no progress the whole time they've been in Kennedy, just getting promoted with the letter grade of F. And that's what I'm saying. How do you promote children with the letter grades of F? What is that? And the community doesn't have a
I have no
conversation.
idea.
It's
But,
happening.
the only answer I have for that
Yeah,
is an alternative. I mean, the child couldn't read in the kindergarten classroom.
that's right. But
But
promotion happened. And
when
that's
they're
what's
not
happening.
but ECE
Early
teaches
childhood
us
education.
that our children, there's a set of standards that our children are supposed to know and acquire in early childhood education.
Right.
And the only reason why we have ECE is because we have these illiterate parents or parents that just don't have strong parenting skills. So they created early childhood education. And in the absence of seats for children of color, because I've heard you say that they just recruited in and got waivers for. But have your waivers, have them. But you got to find a success somewhere. You're not going to get it.
I'm not saying that there's not a success model out there for African Americans.
Oh, there's plenty of success models.
That
you're not able to get the children that should be in ECE are being denied access to ECE.
But we're not even talking about that. We're not talking about the number of children who don't start early childhood education early enough, because the state laws in Nevada says 7 years old. So, people walking around, their children are not in school. At the age of 7, when they do come, they're not prepared. And right away, that collection of dysfunctional data about how that child doesn't know how to put their name on the paper, can't cut with scissors, can't write.
Well, of course.
That's the basic
skills. Why is
documenting dysfunction?
Tell me this. As a parent, why is it that you don't have your child write his or her name, begin to hold the pencil at age 3?
What kind of programs is for support?
You don't need a program. Why can't you, if you can write
used to do it, we used to do it. We used to do it in the churches. That's how come Head Start and Early Head Start started. It was a reality that we fought for these programs. We fought for SNAP. We fought for food stamps. And we fought for all of these programs that are embedded in the system. And now we don't participate in the oversight. We don't participate in the ensured maintenance of our access to those services. And we have to have conversations with our people so that they know they have a personal responsibility. When they're having a meeting on how they're going to reduce the food stamps, well, perhaps we should send someone to be in the room. We don't have to go ourselves, but someone needs to tell us if
they're going to reduce food stamps. I don't care how many people go in the room, but there's one thing that every individual has to have, no matter what their ethnicity, no matter what their background. You have to possess the ability to read, write, and do mathematics well. Mm-hmm. Not with an excellence, but well. Well. You just can't sit there and just ignore the fact that and of course, for us, our leadership always began in the church. It was always in the church. Our achievement came from the church. Everything was in the church.
But
and
what's the church now?
I'm sure there are some pastors, like I said, that little bitty church with that pastor, a storefront in the alley. You can about go up in there, and that person will agree with you. But these great big church houses with these same church members that don't see nothing but their own personal righteousness. And if you're not where I'm at, then, they had a name for them. These people have always been with us. The Sadducees and the Pharisees, they've always been with us, but they're not doing anything for us. So instead, we got to do for ourselves. We got to get up and do for ourselves, and I have to be honest. That was the reason why I left California. I had just really had it. And my growing grandchildren, with the exception of 5 out of 11, 5 are still in California. But the rest of them finished school here. Mm-hmm. Each and every one of them are successful individuals, each and every one of them. But I grew up in the South. Mm-hmm. So this is where I'm at, and if all else fails, we may have to just caravan our behinds up out of the West and come on back to the South. There are a lot of people coming down out of the North, moving here. The unemployment rate in Greenville County, 2%. Mm-hmm. Now,
well, that's what Trump is talking about.
99% of the people that live here basically have a job. And not just any job. They have a job. Well, what about those boys and girls in Virginia? We're going to open up the coal mines. Y'all can still get black lung, but we're going to open it up. And I mean, they've been coal miners for generations. Guess what? They still wait. They're still waiting. Ain't no mines open up. We don't live in a black and white world. We live in a green world.
Money.
That's what we live in. It's about money. That's what it's about.
But
so you got to get your money where you can get it.
But we do have to accept responsibility, because if you're a parent who knows, or you're a person who knows, we have to know that we have to share information as to where our children can be successful, and we have to acknowledge the
And you're
organization.
going to have to find some places that will support the success of your children. You cannot continuously look upon the school system that failed you, that failed your mama, or your daddy. You
Or your
cannot
auntie, or your grandma.
look on those. And maybe you couldn't see it at 15, 16 when you got pregnant for the first time.
Mhm. Yeah, but you can see it now.
But now that you have children, you should be able to see it, you
Hmm.
know. You should be. But those individuals that have the skills to read, write, and mathematically compute, those people are successful.
Yeah, but
For the most part, they are. Their children
I
are
was in
raising
I was
children.
I was in the Elks Lodge in Sacramento, and some of the members wanted to do community things and wanted to work in the community and help bring opportunity. Then other ones, they just want to line their pocket. You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
so,
we gonna always have them carpetbaggers with us, and carpetbaggers don't come in a specific color. We're gonna
well,
always have them.
but
You
for
know,
our
I mean,
people,
there are always those. I mean, you probably call them coyotes in Spanish because for this amount of money we'll get you across the border. You
mhm,
know, I mean, come on, people. And then we in the black communities we got these wolves in sheep clothing walking around. They're all this and saved and holy and sanctified through fire. But in order for me to preach, I need a salary. What you gonna pay me? Who paid Jesus? I mean, that's who you pattern the ministry after. Jesus didn't even have a church house.
mhm.
So I'm not inclined to go that way. But I feel like this. If you're willing to support your people, that's fine. But I'm not even gonna knock on the door of a church house where you take enough money to pay this person to preach. I'm not going to do it. You know,
You
if
know,
you're too old, you ought to have some retirement. If you're young, you need to have a job. I mean, what's wrong? Dual vocational pastorship is the norm for me. I don't feel like I should pay you to get up here and do what. I didn't hire you. God did. So God's going to sustain you.
if God hired you, He will
Well,
sustain
like
you.
I said, and if he didn't hire you, then you're working for the other one. But I know I didn't hire you. That's it. Either you're willing to do the word. I mean, ministers,
And that Satan is that
walking.
the
You know,
condition of our people,
church house, you need an airplane.
but Maxine, the condition of our people is an all-time gutter.
No, it's not
Yes,
as bad as it once was. So I'm gonna just be
It,
honest.
but it once was, but we were on the same, we had a team to play with.
Well, you got a team.
Where?
The team is just not. We lived in a crunched-in community.
Mhm.
That's what you got to understand. We didn't have any problem hearing the voice of leadership. We didn't have any problem of hearing the voice of unwilling because we all lived in the same neighborhood on the same side of town.
But the people who were not afraid to live as freeborn, understand how to save ourselves, understand the importance of being active in our children's lives, understand the importance of being engaged in the public process. We understand that. There are far too many that are totally system dependent.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you have got to, sure you got a message, but how are you going to get that message to those that really need to hear it? That's my point.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
that's
why
my point. And it wasn't a problem before. And probably your best way to get a hold of them is to put something on YouTube, is to put something on Twitter, because that's where they are. You got to meet them where they're at. This is where they are. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. And you got to say it in a way, ask them a series of questions and let them answer the questions. You know,
well,
that's just how it
I
has to
want
be.
to get with you so bad. I want to push you so you don't have to retire just yet.
Oh, I'm retired, honey. I'm
I just
retired.
really need you. I need that voice.
I'm
The voice
retired.
of reason.
You know what? I got all these lieutenants and sergeants that I left on the West Coast.
Mhm.
They are capable. of leading. You are, and a bunch of others are. I
No,
mean,
I really needed to reach out
just
to you
retired.
because I know who you are, and I don't know where the leadership is in Clark County.
Maybe you are the leadership. Okay?
But I mean, but here in Clark County, where they have the cotton club,
I don't care about where it
where they
is.
had the
If ain't nobody standing up at the top of the hill but you, maybe you are the leader. I mean, I know that your background is based in the same religious components that mine are, and I know for a fact that God don't care, it ain't no big deal about who he chooses. The big deal about who he chooses is that he is going to ensure that you get up and you do what you need to do. If you have the capacity to affect and implement change,
you gotta.
it is your
But all I'm saying, Maxine, is that
responsibility to do it. And I'm just offering you a solution in
yeah,
ways that you might measure out. So, yeah, put it on Facebook.
well, that's why we're Facebook Live. But I'm just saying that
We've been on Facebook Live for a long time. Oh, yeah, it says live 22 minutes. But
we got kicked off
yeah.
before.
Well, they have to be a little shorter because, most of our folks are ADHD, including me. I ain't
But
gonna
I'm
listen.
just saying, Maxine, that we are such a gifted people. We are the reason why. We're the reason why America is at the point of where it's at today, because it was our people that created the cotton gin. It was our people that created the refrigerator and the street light. And you can just go on and on and on about the greatness of black people.
And when we created all that, what creative rights did we hold to that?
It was our people having the ability to work
Somebody
together.
dug down through history and put it all together and said, well, my God, this was a black person. This was a black person, and this was a black person, and we know all about this, and then we celebrate it once a year,
Once a year. Why not every day?
month. We
But
celebrate.
why are we asking permission from those who are controlling basically resources? Because we've allowed them to control those resources. They don't get to control we only get to control what we allow them to control. If we show up and share a concern, then we have to show up in more than one or two people. We have to show up consistently. And
Well, that's why I'm telling you, be strategic and use the tools that the people you need to reach are going to be using, and put it on Facebook. Put some music back behind it or whatever, but put it on Facebook.
Because music is copyrighted. And believe me, when you do copyright violations, they say you've been blocked because
We own no music rights. That's what you
own any music rights. Even when you're saying you don't own them. Even when you're saying you don't own them.
Well, that came from the that actually came off of the federal website. We own no music rights. That has to be declared, unless you got somebody in your household who done wrote a new piece of music. You own that. But I mean, why not? We own no music rights. I mean, all these videos that you see that have some music in it, they don't own the music rights. They declare that we don't, but we like the song. I can send you a
music is what made us.
Listen to a song, and I can send you a song right from YouTube. I don't have to declare a doggone thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it is going. If we are going to do something, it is going to be us. It is not.
Well, it is going to be. Like I said, why not give them 3 questions on Facebook? Just 3 questions.
All right, let's type the questions. You tell me, and I'll type it. Because this is going to be here forever.
Do you have a child in the system? That would be one thing. Do you have a child that's failing? And at what grade level? That would be another thing.
Oh, slow down. I'm typing.
Why are you typing?
Because we're talking about it, but I'm going to put it in here.
Yeah, but why not just go and just put it in a Facebook comment or like...
Well, I am in the Facebook comments.
Okay.
And the other one is, do you have a child that is failing? Right?
In school. Mm-hmm.
But it's the acceptance of the letter grades of F.
Have you ever been to a board meeting
attend the
a school board meeting.
well, what do you understand about?
And that's enough questions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You
That's
know, and then ask them to respond and share that post. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want them to not just answer the questions, but to please, answer the questions and post this on your, what is it called, timeline or whatever. I'm not even good at keeping up with what it is. Mm-hmm.
There we go. I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but the
So,
tools that
I
we have
mean,
today are nothing like the
that's
tools
where
that we
they're going to be. I mean, they're going to be on that page. They're going to be on the web. They are. And then eventually, like I said, we make up less than 18% of the total population in America.
population of prisoners.
When I respond on it and I put it on my page, then they're going to put it on their page, and before you know it, out of 1,000 people, you connected at the end of the day with 600 out of 1,000.
Yeah, we're hoping.
You put it on your page. Yeah, and it might not all be in Nevada. I mean,
Why not? It doesn't matter where it is because we
DC said, wait a minute, So then you begin to build a following of people looking for change. So your next thing is to ask them, well, what does parent involvement look like at your child's school? You begin with those questions in round 2, but you got to keep them coming, and you give them a break in between. Just, hey, this week's questions, and you collect those answers and those responses. And then you ask them if they're in Nevada. Are you in the Clark County school system? Is your child in that system? And those that are in that system, can you come to a meeting?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And I mean, like I said, if you got to go to the park or to the library or somewhere to meet, then do that. Mm-hmm. Is this a little boy that was body slammed by that phone?
Which one?
It just popped up on the screen.
Not exactly sure because I got kicked out.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
This is what I'm recommending, that you follow that direction more or less.
Well, giving people an opportunity.
You began to get to know who the people are, and they can get to know you. And then you begin to pull them in. I mean, and just a meeting. I mean, you can it's no big deal. They've got places that you can just go and meet,
Well, you can meet right here, like what we're doing. Other people are tuning in. And, the questions that we asked before about, do you have a child in public school? Is your child failing? What, what
have you ever been to a board meeting? And that tells you a lot right there,
Well, when I was going to board meetings at first, there were people who were saying that I need to get a job, that I need to leave those people alone and let them do their job. But, really, that's not what community and capacity building is all about. Community and capacity
you see, you are a leader.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's not asking those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who were telling you to shut up and let them do their job, they didn't necessarily come with you.
No, they didn't.
Because the people that are with you are going to be with the common agenda. You people have a common agenda. It's no far-fetched kind of tale. Y'all have a common agenda. But in order to develop your army, you're going to have to gather them. So gather them. Gather them in. Make sure they get, and every week you need to have 3 questions. Every week. That they get every week on the same day, hopefully, because consistency is key. So this is Tuesday. Next Tuesday, you got 3 more questions. Tuesday after that, because you'll have them on board by then. You'll have a lot of them. Do a survey, short survey, no more than 5 quick questions ever.
Well, the survey before the before the online or plan to go online and then just do the survey question and then people can
Well,
ask.
you gotta build them in. You gotta keep it short because they can't sit in front of that monitor or hold that cell phone, which a lot of them will be on their cell phones for an hour and a half. It's got to be quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, if you're not in Clark County schools and from another school district,
it doesn't change.
well, what you do is you set it up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are there, and because not only do they have to understand what the situation is, which that's what you're building capacity when you ask them these questions and they send them back and they respond. So then you're building capacity there. Then you have to get to a point where you provide them with, if you're interested in some information on this, and this, which
Yeah, I
I'm
have
sure we
information.
can provide them for you, but if you want information on what parent involvement should look like, if you want info, and you got to keep it simple, which
I
means
know.
you cut and paste.
I'm listening to.
I had to cut and paste for my parents and make it big on paper
But
so
I was
that
listening
they read
to.
it.
I've been
You
listening
know?
to Lamar Johnson, and he's running around the country doing parent involvement. But parent involvement is different, and it really has to do with where the circumstances that your children are being required to attend public school under, and if it's a custom.
Well, it's also got to do with the main thing it has to do when you start talking about parent involvement. That's about the parent. Is the parent, does the parent have the capacity to engage? Does the parent even have the desire to engage?
Yeah, in the oversight of the public process.
Can't engage, period, to come to the school to see how they, if their child is coming home with no homework, the child comes home and says he has no homework or she has no homework.
Yeah,
You're contacting that teacher to say, where is the homework?
Yeah, that's right. That's your responsibility as a parent. But
well,
it has to be.
They don't have it. They just don't have it. They're not going to do it. This is just, and we have to accept that.
But homework is any work that you didn't finish during the day. And if you're not completing whatever everybody else is doing the day, then it is considered, and because you don't have to do it.
You're not even going to look in the backpack. You're not going to look in the backpack. You're not going to ask how was your day at school. You just don't do it because it's not there, and you're not willing to do it. No. Those are the ones who are just abandoned in the jungle to be consumed by the lions, tigers, and bears. You're not talking about the one who's going to look in your backpack, who's going to look at what papers you brought home, who's going to look for the homework that's been graded. That's a whole nother genre of individual. But here's the real truth is you've got to begin to hold those conversations with individuals that will end up being from everywhere, from all over the place, because it's Facebook. They're passing it on and they're sharing it with friends, and friends are sharing it with friends. So it has to be relevant type questions. You know,
relevancy is here.
Simple. You know, you don't charge them and say, look, you're not here with your kid. You just get a feel for it. You let them respond to you. And then you look over all those responses and you say, well, what is consistent in the responses? That they never attended a school board meeting. So you're going to go from there. Do you understand the responsibility of the school boards? Because you had so many people that said they never been to a meeting. Do you understand the role of the school board? Mm-hmm. But instead of banging your head against a wall, take some steps, T, that are going to give you what you need to affect change. And change is not going to come from knocking on these doors and asking these people for this, that, and the other. And yes, there are people that are out there for an opportunity. And I mean, I know I'm good at this foolishness. I don't have any problem with it. But I know one thing. Yeah, you know, I could be doing the same damn thing that Mr. Whoever is doing, running around all over the countryside. I sure could. And probably put out a better product and have some great looking stuff and take a walk with it. Because you know, I can design some stuff, but you know what? They're not going to invite me.
No, they're not, because
They're
it's
not.
all about maintaining the system as it is.
And I understand that. Change is
I
hard.
I understand
You
the
know?
fear in that too. That's why California rushed to do Prop 209, because the lay of the land was changing so drastically, because black people had got into the public school system and the providers were being established. So they went and put a voter initiative that did not have a responsibility to have the outcomes or the impact of that voter initiative on
And
the ballot, and then black people
and
didn't vote
we
for it.
would raise hell from now until Jesus comes. And what's going to change?
Until we get another voter initiative that demands that we have access and
We don't even need to get a new one. We just need to repeal the old one. We were doing fine.
we either need to repeal the old one, or we need to show up and demand accountability for the basic services that are not being aligned.
Well,
That's
no, what we need to do, because this is how it works. They send one of us to give one of us. Was it?
yeah.
Okay? Republican, Democrat, black, white, red, whatever, yellow. We need to elect one of us to do what we need done. And we need to do it consistently.